7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are here again, broadcasting from our apartments. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
I am Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
And it's Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
All right. So we have... What is happening right now?
We got music for you guys. Getting ready to do
Hopefully
a TikTok.
copyright free.
Yes, we're getting Britt on the TikTok train, everybody. So get ready for that.
It's begging me. It's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen.
I don't know.
I will say TikTok is kind of funny because my friend posted like 37 TikToks on her Instagram yesterday. So I got to watch them on Instagram. So I don't need to get a TikTok because I can watch all the TikToks on Instagram. So it's good.
I know, your favorite thing ever. Okay, so
I was impressed.
Wait, what was that?
I said some of them were funny. I was impressed, but right? I'm still not getting TikTok.
People get
You're
creative
inching closer.
with it.
Yeah, they do. That's what I'm saying. Britt's inching closer and closer. She's now laughing at him now, so she's accepting.
After this like lockout of this coronavirus, TikTok will die with the coronavirus. Like no one will be on it ever again.
I admire your confidence, Britt, but I disagree. I don't think that's going to be happening. I think TikTok is here to stay. People love it.
I always don't know. Pahokee Sports. What's up, Britt Gang? Thanks for the $2. I see you. Appreciate you.
Yay!
Up, appreciate that, man.
Okay, so a quick rundown, you guys, of what we're going to be talking about today. So Adam Silver had an interview with Rachel Nichols, and he talked pretty in depth about what's going to be happening with the NBA season, what he's anticipating, what some of the options are. So we'll give you all of that information. Wilson Chandler also said that he was mistreated by his building manager. So I'm curious what you both think of that. Also, we're going to be talking about Josh Gordon and how he might be able to make his way back into the NFL. And finally, we have some details about what Tom Brady is expecting out of his upcoming deal. Chris, what are your post up?
Post up. Well, first of all, shout out to Ricky. That's for you, Devin, saying Devin Gang. Appreciate the $2 from Ricky.
Yes, thank you, Ricky.
Thanks.
Or $1.99. I ain't gonna give you the cent. You didn't give us the cent, so I'm not gonna give you the cent. Anyways, post up. We got a lot more updates on people on the inside. I want to change the name of the post up to like the quarantine zone or something like that, because all these videos are all gonna come from what the players and stuff are doing inside. So we got a lot of stuff from LeBron James going through his struggles with Savannah. We also got we talked about Aaron Donald last week. Now we got Saquon Barkley out here lifting 400 pounds. We're gonna show you that video later. What else we got? Oh, we got Giannis talking about an MTV show that I didn't even know was still on TV. Fred VanVleet being Dad of the Year, and Serge Ibaka giving us some tips on how we should be working out in our homes. A lot of fun stuff in the quarantine zone.
Nice. And then I'll be doing our WTF moments for the day. We're talking about DeAndre Hopkins and the whole ordeal that's going on there. And also, everybody might be watching too much Netflix, so much so that it could crash the whole system. We're getting into that later in the game. And then, Britt, you want to tease your Brit's takes?
It's going to be about the coronavirus.
Wow, I'm shocked.
What? Oh my God, guys.
Switching it up today, guys.
I'm so stunned. Okay, so before we went live, we were all on here just chit-chatting about various topics. What were some of the things that we wanted to mention? Now I'm blanking.
So actually, I wanted to start by shouting out the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. They will be donating big money. They actually released a statement saying this: nearly 4 million fans pass through our gates each year, and it wouldn't be possible without the amazing service provided by our great game day staff that makes the Dodger Stadium experience so special. It is very special. I go to plenty of Dodger games. These are challenging economic times, and we want to make sure that we support those in this committed group that may be having a particularly difficult time, they are donating a whopping $1 million. So shout out to the Dodgers for stepping up and taking care of their people, because their people do take care of us when we go to games. Could never have my amazing veggie Dodger dog without them. So shout out to the Dodgers for doing that. That's awesome.
I think that's incredible. And I hope that we see more teams following in their footsteps. I know we've seen athletes stepping up and donating and helping out in various ways, but $1 million from the entire Dodgers franchise, like that's really impressive. And it speaks volumes, especially in a time like this.
Right, for sure.
100%.
Yeah. Chris.
And then Chris, I think you wanted to mention a little trade.
No, it wasn't a trade.
Not a trade, snip snip.
Yeah, it was literally a little snip snip. If you guys didn't remember, Joe Flacco was on the Broncos, and apparently he got cut today because he didn't pass his physical, which, again, a lot of things aren't really surprises. But I had asked a question, and I'm curious to hear what the chat has to say. Is he going to get picked up again? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, is this it for Joe Flacco? Should he bow out, or is he going to try and hopefully stick around that some team picks him up?
Now, what I told Chris is my opinion of this is I think he might be done. If he does get picked up, I think it's going to be like with an injury mid-season, but I don't think before the season he will. If he does, I could see him possibly with the Chargers because they did not get Tom Brady. And so obviously they have Tyrod Taylor there who they believe in as their starting quarterback, but maybe Joe ends up as a backup somewhere. But
Imagine how backwards that is. Like, because when Joe Flacco was starting in Baltimore, Tyrod was one of the backups on the team, and now Tyrod would be like, "Hey, guess what, buddy?"
What's up, old man?
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Now I want that to happen. Now I want that one to happen now.
So there was an interesting comment in here. Anthony Olivier says LA Rams are possibly thinking to trade Todd Gurley. Do you guys have thoughts on that?
That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be stupid. Absolutely stupid. I understand he hasn't been playing at the same level, but that's his not the same level is still pretty damn solid for that team. So that'd be crazy to me.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the final thought. That would just be crazy.
Yeah, Ricky said as far as Joe Flacco, someone will pick him up, but if I were him, I would want to retire. He made his money. Do you guys think, though, he would get picked up before the season starts, or would it have to be in an injury situation where a quarterback goes down and then he replaces somebody?
That's a good question. Because there's still so many quarterbacks we haven't even had our draft yet.
Yeah, we haven't had draft yet. Yeah,
we're still the Cam Newton stuff, and there's still names out there. So yeah, I think I'm with you on this one, where it's going to be somewhere in the season if he gets picked up due to an injury or something like that. That's the only thing.
Yeah, but I for sure don't think he'll officially retire this season at all. I think he'll wait and see if somebody picks him up, if something happens, and then after the season completes next season, if he hasn't gotten picked up, I think he'll officially retire. But I don't think he'll make an announcement to officially retire without seeing if he lands somewhere throughout the season.
All right, well, why don't we jump into this news? The Adam Silver story has kind of a lot of moving parts, a lot of information, so I want to take time with it and make sure I get your thoughts on it as well as the chat. So just a reminder, chat, if you guys comment something that's interesting or worth mentioning, we'll talk about it on here. So try and respond back to us. That's super awesome when you do that. Okay. So, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver interviewed with Rachel Nichols on SportsCenter yesterday, and he revealed that the league is looking at 3 options when it comes to restarting the suspended season. So option 1 is playing games with fans only when it's safe to do so. So that means they would restart the season once everything has died down and there's no restrictions for groups of people gathering together in a space. There's also the option of returning to play without fans in the arenas, or creating some type of tournament or charity game where some players can compete for the good of the people. And then there's also this third option of testing and isolating players before competing against each other for public morale and as a way of helping to restart the economy. So these are some of the options that he said he could see happening. He doesn't know if he has a good enough sense to comment on whether or not they'll go straight into playoffs or pick up with regular season games. And that's been something that we've all been discussing throughout this entire thing. How is this going to work? What's going to happen with the playoffs? And unfortunately, he wasn't able to provide a lot of insight with that. But he is optimistic and hopeful that they'll be able to salvage at least some of the season. And I'm hoping that they can do that. So he says that staff members and fans will be the driving force to any decision for the league when public health officials give the okay. He also mentioned that he hasn't decided how they'll handle individual awards like MVP. That's been something that we've been debating about here on the Fumble Live too. And he revealed that the hiatus could lead to a permanent shift in the NBA schedule. And he feels the responsibility to make the NBA a positive example and a good messenger of spreading awareness about the coronavirus. So he wants to make sure that he's never acting too quickly, which I respect, and I think that's great. They were kind of game changers in this whole idea of stopping leagues mid-season or canceling tournaments. They really inspired that, and I think it was the right move. Britt, what do you think about these three options that he mentioned? Do you think that, is there any one that stands out to you?
Yes, I'm going to get into one in particular, one a little bit later on in the show, but I think he basically said something that he literally gave every scenario, and so I almost feel like there was no point in even having an interview. Like, I kind of feel like the interview was pointless. Like, we didn't learn anything new. He didn't tell us anything new. He kind of almost just amped up the anxiety a little bit by saying so many options and so many different things. So I kind of thought it was a little weird. I usually am team Adam Silver. I just didn't think this one was the best move for him. And like I said, I'll get into one particular one a little bit later, which is probably kind of guessed a little bit going into Britt's take. But I'm not going to tell you guys which one, though. I'm very passionate about one of these. But, I just kind of thought the whole thing was pointless because he literally didn't tell us anything. So, I don't know.
One thing that stood out to me with what he said was that he is optimistic and hopeful that they'll be able to salvage some of the season. Hearing that made me feel a little bit better because we haven't had really anybody come out and say whether or not they think that we're going to be going straight into playoffs or not. So I think it was refreshing and made me feel excited and hopeful that he's feeling excited and hopeful they'd be able to salvage some of the season. Chris, what are your takes on this?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say it was very similar to like what we were talking about yesterday. It was like I didn't learn anything new, but obviously ESPN is like us. They're just trying to get whatever content they can get, any kind of information they can get. So if you can get the commissioner, whether it's going to be absolutely nothing or something, you get the commissioner. And like Britt said, we didn't learn anything new. But the thing that I did take away from it was the possibility that they are still trying to work it out, that there will be some sort of ending to the season before we jump right into the playoffs. So I was like, all right, that's cool. But I mean, other than that, I mean, like Bruce said, we didn't learn anything from it. There was nothing new. He just reiterated a lot of things that we already knew, just in a somber tone. So it was just like, okay, hold on, Adam, why are you talking like that? Wait a minute, dog. But he also mentioned the charity tournament too. I don't know how they would get that done without any clearance on, who has it, who doesn't have it, all that kind of stuff. But I think it'd be a cool idea. We've seen that in a lot of disasters like this, but this one's more of a health situation. So I don't know how they're going to go about that, if that is a situation that they decide to do. But I think it would be cool to see happen in between now and when the season comes back. But that's what I took away from it.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I do want to commend Adam Silver for is not offering, and I know we want something definitive, but I think it's good that he didn't offer anything concrete, any exact dates, because, when we saw tournaments being canceled altogether and postponed until next year, we felt like that was a hasty reaction to the situation. And I think it's smart that he's not like dangling a date in front of us and saying like, well, we're thinking July, because then come July, if the virus hasn't settled down, we're not going to be sitting there like, you said July. So I feel like that was a good option. I know we want more information, but I think he's likely doing the best that he can do and offering as much as he can. Right. Machiavelli in here says 2-year break. Do not allow people to be in a public place together. 2 years seems like a very long time for me. But what do you guys think?
I think it does sound like a long time. I don't think it's going to be anything that crazy. Obviously, Donald Trump released a whole statement yesterday. It was like a 100-page thing about it being an 18-month process that we're going to go through. So, I mean, it's at this point, it's not crazy to maybe say 2 years, but I don't think, especially with sports, I don't think it's going to last that long with sports. And another point that I did want to talk about, and it was I did like that he was giving other options. I know even just like our pitches we've had for shows that we've wanted to do for the Fumble, there's been a lot of talk of trying to do something with virtual reality and stuff like that. So Adam Silver actually pointing to that as like another way that, you know, fans could interact and be involved in games that are going to be played with no fans in the arena. I think that was probably a positive thing that I took from his thing. But, I mean, they already do have that where you can sit, like, courtside and watch, like, a Lakers game. But he literally was kind of telling everyone, maybe get your VR glasses and do something like that, because that's probably what it's looking towards. And then I also thought it was interesting how I know all of you guys saw NBA League Pass literally set a date saying that you guys can watch all the throwback games and the games from this season for free till this date. So I felt like that date was maybe a little sign that maybe we will see some new NBA action after that date. Like, why was it a specific date? I don't know, it was like April 20 something. I don't remember the exact date of it. But that was like a set date saying that you get free league pass till this day. So I kind of thought maybe they know a little bit more than they're telling us at this point. And then maybe obviously I think they have an idea, but they don't want to, like Devin said, tell us it's going to be July, and it doesn't end up being July because stuff happens. But with the way NBA League Pass said, you guys get to watch the throwback games and all the games from this season for free till this date, that kind of was like a hint to me that maybe they think it could be sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I'm so in support of the games coming back sooner, as long as nobody is at risk in them doing that. Let's jump into the next update. So Nets forward Wilson Chandler said that he was treated poorly by his building manager after the team announced that 4 players tested positive for coronavirus. And he took to his Twitter account to share all about his experience. He wrote, "Building manager called me saying, 'Oh, I've seen Nets players have the virus. We'd like to know your status and if you could possibly stay out of the lobby, etc. We can't afford to lose our staff.'" And then he added, "Didn't even ask if I was okay, 1. And 2, she didn't ask me if I had been tested and if it was negative or positive. F this building, man. I'm going home." Concluded it writing, has to be 300 plus people in the building coming and going, plus FedEx and UPS deliveries, Amazon, etc. F that lady, man. So Chris, was the building manager out of line? What do you think of this? Was she making a big judgment over with no really background information?
A little out of pocket, but the second tweet was the biggest thing for me. Like, I get the panic because, you know, it's still a lot of question with the whole coronavirus even going on out there. So there's, you know, if you're hearing that a player from the team and knowing that one of your tenants is a player from that team, you have a little bit of worry. But yeah, my beef is exactly with what he said in that second one. It's like you're already trying to quarantine him or get him away from other people, not knowing whether it's him and not even knowing if he's okay, if it is him or anything like that. So to me, yeah, I get the frustrations. I get the anger that's coming from Wilson Chandler in this. But I also do understand the lady's side because, like I said, not many people know how to handle this situation right now. But she could have still said, like, is it you? Like, could you tell me if it's you? Are you okay? But no, it's just like, hey, so we heard that the Nets this, so can you stay out of our lobbies and stay away from people? Thank you so much. Okay, bye. Like, that's crazy to me. That's crazy.
Well, I think she's taking, again, we don't know. This is an unprecedented time that we're currently in.
Exactly.
And in the second part of his second tweet, he said, she didn't ask me if I even tested for it and was I positive. She did ask. She already knows that the whole team had to get tested. Like, that was common knowledge that the whole team had to take the test.
Right.
So you already know that part. And her second part is like, is it you? So she was asking you if you're positive or negative for it. Like, if you did come out positive or negative. So I didn't get that part of it. But Also, when the team for Utah Jazz originally tested positive, 2 players tested positive. They later found out another player who did not originally test positive that first time ended up getting it like a week later. So that we don't necessarily know exactly like when people are getting these symptoms, when it comes up, and that's why they were put, even Utah Jazz or whatever team, Lakers, whatever, even if they aren't testing positive, right now you still have to put yourself under 14-day because, like we said with tests, sometimes you might have contracted something and it doesn't show up for, it said 5 to 14 days. So
right,
she has to be, if there's 300 people living in that building, she doesn't want a building that ends up with 300 cases of the coronavirus. So I get he's like, dang, like, why is she pointing her finger at me and blah, blah, blah. But, like, it's not like she's doing it like, oh, that's a black guy. All black guys have it or something. Like,
right.
You know, like she's not doing it in that capacity where she's just taking it as a whole. Your team, 4 players on your team have tested positive for it. So that is with some, like, you have to be slightly understanding that people are freaking out. New York is on lockdown right now. So, like, San Francisco's on lockdown right now, so obviously she's taking whatever precautions she can as being like the building manager. I do appreciate that because I know I made a big thing about it last week, the NBPA coming out and saying that you cannot say what players have it. I think that's a good thing because of situations like this, and that's the same thing I said when they were talking about suspending Rudy Gobert. You can't do that because you guys released his medical information and he could turn around and sue you guys. So I like that the NBPA came out and said, no, you guys are not allowed to release these players' medical information. And so I love that. Like, I don't, like, obviously we know Kevin Durant has it, but we don't know the 3 other players. And I think it should
Kevin
stay
Durant
like that.
chose to release that. That's the other part. Yeah, and people are saying, but they said Kevin Durant's because Kevin Durant and his team, they released that. So that was his choice to say it was me that, I'm one of the 4.
And Rudy Gobert didn't have that choice, and neither did Donovan Mitchell at that time. They were kind of like, oh, we're just going to say it's, and obviously people would have figured out it's Rudy Gobert because he was the one not playing in the game and it was this big old thing at the moment, but still, like, they actually released saying it is this player, so I understand. I'm glad the NBPAs did what they did, but it does suck. I don't think he should be that mad about it. Like, you just have to deal with it. It happens, kid.
So what I'm seeing in the chat here, Monty Legend said, times like this have to make people appreciative. Yes, Wilson Chandler was mistreated, but he has to be understanding of the manager. I think I can see both sides because and I think you guys can too, because he maybe did take a test. If it came back negative, I can get why he would be sitting there thinking, why do I have to avoid the lobby? You're letting UPS people come in. Why am I the only one who's being held back? But I also understand the managers need to protect the other residents in the building. I don't know. I think that we have to assume that somebody who's been exposed to people with the coronavirus and who may have tested positive would be responsible enough to avoid the places where they might infect others. So I think we have to try to trust that people aren't going to be doing things irresponsibly, although we've seen that people are continuing to be irresponsible. Yeah. Right. But you'd think that somebody in the public eye, like Wilson Chandler, if he did have it or, was at risk of getting it or testing positive for it, he wouldn't be out there, like, touching the entire lobby.
Yeah, and they currently just said yesterday, I don't remember who from NBA said it, but they predict 40 to 50% of the NBA actually contracting it or already has it at some point. So yeah, it is. That's
Adam Silver
for a small league. That's a lot of people. Like in one, because they are in small confined spaces. So clearly, it spreads very easily. So obviously, the building manager, I would be. I think he should be more offended if it was just another resident that came up to him in the elevator, like, get out of the elevator. But it's the building manager. She's doing, honestly, her job and what she has to do. Maybe she could have said it a little nicer. I don't know, but she's doing what she had to do.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying, because, like, she said it on, like, one breath. Like, is it you? Can you tell me the status? Don't go this place. So it's like, I understand the why he's upset in that standpoint. But, yeah, like you said, and like I said, like, she's doing what she has to do because, again, this is such a unknown situation. So you got to do what you got to do for the other 299 people in that same building. So, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's weird to see how people are handling this quarantine and how some people feel entitled to go out in public and go to restaurants and put, it's
Crazy.
like weird. We're seeing the best and also the worst of humanity right now. It's very interesting. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about Josh Gordon. A new CBA agreement. The new CBA agreement has a more tolerant drug policy when it comes to marijuana. Josh Gordon was suspended indefinitely last season by the NFL for the violation of the league substance abuse policy. It was the 6th time that he'd been suspended by the NFL. But now that weed is okay, he wants to get back into the league. Despite the new policy, he'll actually have to be reinstated under the old policy. And if reinstated, he would become an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his career. Britt, what do you see happening with Josh Gordon? Is he going to make his way back into the league? Is it going to work out?
I am so sick of Josh Gordon. Like, and honestly, we haven't, like, is Josh Gordon really that good? Because I haven't seen a full season in him play well since 2013. So, like, what do we know of? And Josh Gordon only played 2 years of college ball. So, like, we don't have a lot of actual information on Josh Gordon. He's, like, in my eyes, a lot like Andrew Luck. Like, we think he's really good, but have we really seen him be good for an extended period of time? Like, I don't care about Josh Gordon anymore. If he comes back in the league, great. If he doesn't, that is fine. I have been, like, a huge proponent of this guy for a long time because he is so talented. But at this point, the last time we've seen him play a full season and be great is 7 years ago. So let's put that into perspective. We have not seen any Josh Gordon great deeds in 7 years. Like, so he's 28 now. About to be 29 this year. Like, you should low-key be on your way out. Like, people want to diss Des Bryant and say we haven't seen him play in a year and a half, so we should just be done with Des because he's already 30. Josh Gordon, I haven't seen anything from him in 7 years. And I get the last couple times he took his break for his mental health. That's totally understandable. But maybe it's time you just move on. This agreement is actually not what you think it is. Weed is not okay. You just don't get suspended for it. You are still going to get fined for it. They still are legally able to fine you, and they will fine your whole entire salary, Josh Gordon. So just sit back. If you're going to keep smoking weed, don't play the game, because at this point, you're not going to, it's not what you think. You don't just get a free pass and smoke in the league. We're not there yet. Yes, I do think the NFL will get there at some point. Obviously, the NBA, I think, will be the first to take all those strides because they usually lead all the leagues and things like that. NHL is already, they don't test for marijuana anymore, but the league still can test the players. They just are not suspending them. They are now fining the players for marijuana. So that's going to be your whole entire contract money, Josh. Just letting you know, bro.
Chris, what do you think?
I can't agree. I mean, you're right for the fact that we haven't seen a solid season from him since when he was on the Browns and then before everything blew up. Yeah. But the thing is, I loved your Andrew Luck analogy. I will give you that 100%. But my thing with him, though, I'm not giving up on him because, yes, he is 28 going 29. But before he decided to check himself out of the league when he was going through what he was going through when he was with the Patriots, he was still showing signs of productivity with, I mean, again, he did have Tom Brady, so I get that. But in the games he played,
did that in October. Like,
in the games he played really well. I mean, so much to the point where I picked him up on my fantasy team because he was giving me buckets. He was giving me points. So it's like he was playing okay with the time. Again, Britt is 100% on track with the fact that we still don't know if he is ever going to be that guy, and if we're just fantasizing on what he showed us in his one good year of the few years he's played in the league. So I'll give you that, but I do believe that he still has interest around him, and I do believe that he's still has the capability to get picked up by a team, now if he ends up past all this and goes into free agency, I still believe he'll go get picked up by a team and be a lot more productive than people are starting to walk away from. I still think he can be a solid player because he did show that in the small sample size that he played in the 1 month of play with the Patriots.
So I think I feel the same way as you do, Chris. I think that if he has another shot, he should be able to get another shot. But also, if there's some sort of violation or something goes wrong again, I don't know if it's if it's worth continuing.
He will get test positive again for marijuana, and now they're just going to take your money.
I was just going to say, but Britt, maybe that's what he needs. Let him take his money. Maybe that's what he needs.
So getting suspended for 3 seasons straight isn't enough for you.
But now it's going straight to his bank account.
That's part of his bank account too. He wasn't getting paid when he was suspended.
I wanted to talk about another football player, Tom Brady. Just going to switch gears here. So we were actually right about him wanting more out of his deal with the Buccaneers. That still has not been confirmed yet, but everyone seems to think that he's going to the Bucs. We heard we had a couple of conditions for his new contract. 1, he wanted a 2-year commitment backed by guarantees, and 2, he asked for $60 million but allowed for negotiations. He wasn't or isn't doing this for the money. He wants to give his team the financial flexibility to add more high-performing players to surround him. Chargers and Bucs are both willing to work with these conditions, but rumor has it he's going to Tampa Bay. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm so confused by all this. This report came out that he's supposed to be on the Bucs, but then I'm still hearing the Chargers are still trying to do things to accommodate him and all these things. I'm so confused by him. He's doing a good job doing his LeBron James impression. I'll give him credit for that because now we're also seeing reports that
have a show with the decision.
Yeah, we might as well at this point. But we're also seeing reports here that now once teams are finding out that he wants to go to the Buccaneers, once players found out he's going to the Buccaneers, now all these players want to go play with him and stuff like that. Like, he's doing a great LeBron James impression right now. But this whole saga is just so confusing because, like Britt said yesterday, Ian Rappaport was one of the first people to say this, and when he says it, it's the law. Like, that's the facts. So, but he did also, in his defense, he did say barring something extracurricular happens. So he did give himself a little gray area if something crazy happens. But I'm just confused by what's even going on with this Tom Brady saga right now in the first place.
We have the chat, and here almost everyone is saying he's going with the Bucs. He's going to Tampa Bay. It's weird because I think Los Angeles makes more sense for him just based on who he is, who his wife is. You would think that LA would be the option.
They're a better team.
Britt, what do you think?
Well, I feel like I think the opposite. I feel like he's more of a small city kind of guy. I don't think he wants to be in Los Angeles, like, with the glitz and glam and doing all, like, let's remember last year, Tom Brady barely got an Instagram. He doesn't really, like to be in the spotlight in that capacity. And I think with him and his children, they want to live in, obviously it's Tom Brady. They're going to live in a nice house if they live here or there. But, you can actually get more stuff and be that big time guy walking around in Tampa. And if he's in LA, there's millions of athletes and celebrities. You're just another person here in LA. So I don't think he's going to get those opportunities to do business things. Or if he's in Tampa and he opens up a restaurant, that will be the best restaurant in Tampa. Like, everybody will go there. If he opens a restaurant here, it's just another restaurant. Because guess what? All the Blaze Pizzas are owned by LeBron James. And there's the Shaq's restaurant at LA Live. And there's all these, There's all of these places that celebrities already own. Like, nobody cares if Tom Brady is opening up a restaurant somewhere here in Los Angeles. So I don't think you really. And if you're here in LA, you also now are with the worst offensive line in the league. Why even put yourself through that?
They improved a little bit. Break give them
They
some
got
credit.
one tackle. I don't think anybody you get in a draft is going to be able to be effective as far as a line is concerned in their first year. So I don't think that they're going to get much better. They got an offensive tackle, which was good, but that's one guy.
See,
I tried.
Just to go back to what you're saying, I feel like I disagree. But Ricardo just gave us $25. He says, "Hi, Fumble. Great job on giving out the sports news, but special hello to the beautiful Brit. How you doing, Brit? If you need toilet paper or water, hit me up. I got you, girl."
Thank you, Ricardo.
So now you have your toilet paper or water dealer.
Fix.
So.
Yep.
That's great. I love
It
it.
was so funny.
That is way better than $25.
Facts,
so.
right? 100%.
So, what was I saying? Oh, I don't think Tom Brady would come to LA and be just another athlete. I think that Tom Brady has established himself as being like a top person in the NFL, that people would pay attention to what he's doing and what he's paying attention to and what other business ventures he's starting. But we'll just have to see what he ends up choosing. For now, I want to get into Chris.
What's everyone's vote on this? Tampa or
I think.
or Chargers?
Everything's Tampa.
Oh, and
the Bucks.
Hokey Sports, thanks for the $4. Britt Gang, what's up?
I put you up, what, $12, $10? Polk, you out here killing the game, man. He's on his way for Ricardo. In increments. He's making payments to get to
on
Ricardo.
my personal channel, it's those two battling it out all the time. When I do lives. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Okay, Chris, take us into the post-up.
Time for the post-up with your boy Chris again, or excuse me, quarantine edition. All right, so we're getting into we got starting off with LeBron James, and the struggle is real. It's funny because Britt actually came into the chat talking about the same thing. You know, it's hard out there for ladies too, and you see Savannah in the video. She got to get a haircut too, just like us guys get a haircut. They was talking about getting nails done. It's crazy, man. It's hard out here. The struggle's real. So LeBron James is talking about the fact that you see, look how scruff he's looking too. Yeah, you can see the scruff coming in.
It kind of looks like you right now, Chris.
I feel it. I feel it a little bit, but I feel it. But you can see the gray hairs coming at the bottom of his chin, and he got the do-rag on for a reason. You all know the reason, but we're not going to talk about it. But look at poor Savannah, man. This is what she's coming down to. She got to do it herself. Hopefully not hitting any of her actual hair. Yeah, she's doing it. But
she's a pro at that. She knows exactly where her hair starts. Yeah.
She didn't pay him any mind. I love when Savannah does that. Like when LeBron trying to talk to her.
That. They're like the NBA version of DJ Khaled and his wife. Like,
yes.
LeBron's always like, and she's always like,
yeah, asking her up, and she's like, I don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. But how are you guys doing? How are you feeling about?
It stresses me out watching anyone cut their hair themselves. I get so stressed. I couldn't do that just standing over a trash can like snip snip. Ooh,
how are you ladies getting through right now, knowing that there's no?
Well, I'm okay in a sense because I don't like I've never gotten my eyebrows waxed or anything. These are my natural eyebrows. I don't pluck them. I don't touch them. But I would have loved to have like my facial for this time. I can't do that. I can't get like. No, I don't really get my nails done. Yeah. Toes, I always get my toes done. I had to paint my own toes the other day, which I realized I'm like, dang, I'm not as good as I used to be because I've been getting my toes done for so long. But it's just like little things like lashes or something that I'm like, oh, I can't get this done till like right now. You can't book anything till after April 1st here in Los Angeles. But I know other places, San Francisco, it's to April 7th, and I think New York right now is till April 13th. So I wish they would have given us like a couple days before they said we had to go into this quarantine stage, because then we could have all like read up and made sure we're good, got our hair trims or dyed your roots or whatever you had to do, so we could have like be held off for the next month. But yeah.
Or like midnight this day.
It's a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah,
I really need a haircut too. My hair's getting real bad.
Thanks for the $3, Britt Gang.
$15. You got 15. You're almost there, man. 10 more. Getting there, bro. Yeah, I hear you guys. All right. Well, moving on to Steph. Okay, here we go. And this is okay. I've talked about it several times on the show of Steph moments. Okay, those are moments when Steph Curry does things to make people go like, there goes Steph. The Steph get those like, there you go, attaboy moment. So I call them Steph moments. And here we goes again, because we've seen other videos of people watching their own highlights, watching their own clips, talking over their own clips. But here's Steph tweeting that he is watching his teammate Klay Thompson's 60-point game, and he tweeted out saying, "Just watch Klay Thompson drop 60 in 3 Qs. I legit was watching it like it was live. For 48 minutes, my soul smiled. That boy good." Now, guys, I asked you,
you gotta say it like that boy good. You gotta say it
Steph
like
Curry wouldn't be saying it like that, so I'm not giving him the
saying
20.
it like that. Come on.
I'm not gonna give him the 20. He ain't gonna say no 20. But I asked you guys because we talked about. Oh snap! Go ahead.
I need to interrupt real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dope Fresh gave us $5. Complimented both me and Britt. So thank you so much, Dope Fresh.
Thank you.
Okay, take it away.
Dope Fresh.
Chris.
I like the name Dope Fresh. That's dope. But no, we were talking about Klay Thompson yesterday and how that report was craziness. Do you think that this is Steph Curry trying to help with that the report that came out in the news yesterday about Klay Thompson, the injury and all that stuff?
Yes, this is how they were supposed to do it. Not say, "Oh, I don't know if Klay's going to be good." If they want us to remember Klay's name and keep him fresh in our minds, that is what you do. So thank you, Steph Curry, for being the publicist that the Warriors actually needed, because what they did yesterday was not right. Today, you did it right. So shout out to Steph on that for looking out for his teammate, because he probably felt the same way that we did. We're like, why are you throwing shade at Klay? Like, nah, let's remember who Klay Thompson actually is, guys.
You heard it here first. Steph Curry watches the Fumble. All right, on to the next one. On to the next one. Okay, this one doesn't need anything because we saw what Aaron Donald did last week, but look at Saquon Barkley. This is 400 pounds. It looks like it's bigger than him, and he's already a walking muscle as it is. Look, he got the straightest face.
I mean, you can't tell as much in this video, but if you see him on the field, them are some tree trunk thighs. Like, that's a thick boy. That's a big boy.
And look, he's doing it with ease.
I think, I'm trying to see and count how many people are in that room, because I don't think he's supposed to be quarantining with that many people. I'm just going to point that out. Report. Yes.
I was watching this video and I think about myself when I go to the gym, back when my gym was open, and I squat like 50 pounds and I'm dying. I just can't even imagine this.
Honestly, though, Devin, to that point, like, your whole body is the size of his thigh. Like, he has giant,
not even exaggerated,
thighs. Like, that's a thick boy.
Yeah, he is a thick boy.
Shout out to Saquon, getting ready. Hopefully, we have an NFL season. Moving back to LeBron James. I think we know who's probably going to be purchasing this art piece, and she's probably in the bidding room right now. But
that's why she's not in this
she's out there
show today.
trying to get this damn art piece. But we saw this dude on Bleacher Report making just like the painting a whole life of LeBron James. He look at the young king with the crown on. See LeBron over there. It's like every level of LeBron James's life, not just career, his life. He got the Cavaliers, got him as a kid, got the St. Mary, Lakers, everything. That's crazy. This is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Dope.
Yeah, it's real dope.
Some people are real talented. I'm a stick figure kind of girl. That's all I know how to make.
But see, you can go a long way with stick figures. You can still be creative with stick figures. Don't knock yourself down, Britt. On to the next one. We got Giannis Antetokounmpo. This one blew my mind because I didn't even know. First of all, I didn't know that the challenge was still on TV, because that show was like popping in like the early 2000s. And then I also didn't know that people were watching it, because Giannis Antetokounmpo is obviously a big fan. When they posted their trailer for the new season, and then he went out and responded by saying, as long as Johnny Bananas makes it to the final and you guys don't get rid of him in the first couple of episodes again, with the facepalm emoji. Now, again, I kind of watched it when I was like in middle school, high school.
Yeah. And
the fact that Johnny Bananas is still in the show is insane to me as well. There's just so many levels I'm learning right now.
You know, I think it's like MTV does this a lot. They just kind of like have brought back all the old shows that we used to watch. Like Punk'd is coming back. Like all these old shows that we've seen a long time ago. They just like revamped them. Same with whatever Jersey Shore, whatever. So I don't know. I guess the show came back and these people are still doing challenges. And it's funny because it wasn't even on the regular MTV like Twitter. It was on the challenge MTV Twitter. So that Giannis follows that page. Like he's waiting for updates. He was ready and he's a real diehard fan of this show.
Adding people this is serious.
Is an executive producer or something and like wants to get the show out more, but like MTV is probably like, thank you, Giannis, for like letting everyone know this show still exists and being a huge fan. Because now a bunch of kids are going to start watching this show that came out like 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm. especially now that everybody's locked up. Yeah, that they gonna have to watch it now.
Damien said, "Bring back MTV Cribs." Yes, MTV Cribs was good until I found out a lot of times they used to just rent random houses and do show there. I was like, what?
That's dumb.
I felt so bamboozled.
All the cars that a lot of those guys had, they didn't even keep, and they weren't even theirs, and they're like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like what? That was the original Bow Wow challenge right there. Was MTV Cribs.
Hey, speaking of cribs, we could do it on the Fumble Live. What's up, MTV?
Here it is.
Welcome to my crib.
Right.
What's up?
Mine's blurred out.
Did
I blur it myself? How did that happen?
You didn't mean to blur yourself.
No. I didn't notice until right now. I'm like, am I blurred?
Moving on to this one. I like this one. It's just, Fred VanVleet. We already know the saga and the epicness when it comes to Fred VanVleet and his kids because they gave him the superpowers that made him the player that he was to help that team win the championship last year, the Toronto Raptors. But now we ain't playing basketball. Everybody's quarantined, so now he can be full-time dad, and he's killing it, doing the old-fashioned, I'm going to get you game. Look, he's about to turn around and get her. And
he howled. That was a real howl.
Yeah. And she's out. I'm out. Oh, no, Dad, don't do it. But the best part is I love little man just there enjoying the entire show, sitting upright, watching the whole thing.
Yeah, such good posture.
Yes. Yeah, man. Shout out to Fred VanVleet, man.
My ovaries are itching, guys. He's like, oh, little baby.
Oh, man.
Sticking with the Toronto Raptors, my final one is coming. This helps you guys because you guys are looking out for workout routines, specifically you, Britt and Devin. Ibaka got you, okay? Because he's over here doing lines in his hallway. All right, look at this. Look, and he's working his sweat too.
I don't have the hallway that long. Like I would literally be turning around like in 1 second. I could take 10 steps and then just turn around back again. I can do 3 lunges and then 3 lunges back. His hallway's a little bit long. But it did actually inspire me. I told you guys today before the show started that I was going to do the stairs in my building. I'm just going to run the stairs down and up. Because I was going to work out outside today, but it's actually raining right now in Los Angeles. So. Well,
now you know what you got to do. Just up the what's the word I'm looking for? The amount of times you're going to go back and forth. Reps. Thank you, man. My brain.
I just have to do 2,000 in order to get half a mile.
Hey, go again. All right, Britt. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, I'm going to get through the WTF moment super fast just because we're running a little low on time here. But we just have to talk about DeAndre Hopkins. So the Texans received basically nothing in return for one of the best wide receivers in football when they traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals over the weekend. Rumors say the decision came about due to a rift between DeAndre and their head coach / GM, Bill O'Brien. What happened was Bill called a meeting with DeAndre where he equated DeAndre with Aaron Hernandez and told him he didn't like having all of his baby mamas coming around. It makes Bill look really, really bad. And Michael Irvin said that he heard about this whole story straight from DeAndre himself. But now DeAndre just tweeted saying, quote, "This is being blown way out of proportion. As I've said before, I enjoyed and am proud of my time with the Texans. I have the utmost respect for Coach O'Brien, and that will not change. Now I'm ready to play for the Cardinals." So, Britt, why don't you give me your quick take on this? Then, Chris, you tell me yours, and we'll move on.
Really quick, Ricardo just gave us another $10 for the fumble. He said out of the 3, who thinks they have the better crib? I don't know. Chris's room that he's in looks pretty cool, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would still give it to one of you two, but sure, I'll take it. I got to take my dubs when I can get them, all right?
Chris has a lady that lives with him, so she probably has made that look nice. You know, if it was just you, Chris, I would definitely not say you.
In here, this is 100% me, but out there, you're right. You're right. Everything else is her.
But I think what had happened was, in this situation, I think it did happen. He didn't say it didn't happen, but I think he's now like getting side-eyed maybe from his new team, and they're thinking like, oh, is he an issue? What is the problem? So that's why he's just trying like, okay, this is going a little too crazy. But I think that situation did happen. But obviously, he's going to try to save face and say, you know, like, no, I didn't have an issue with my coach. I didn't have an issue here. Like, he's with the new team now. He doesn't want any problems.
Yeah. Chris, Quick take. Tell me your thoughts.
No, that's 100% what it is. I mean, even the first part saying it was blown out of proportion, meaning that there's still some truth to the story, but he's also trying to, bring it back a little bit because, exactly like you said, people are going to be like, wait, man, is this true, dog? We going to have all these baby mamas in the locker room, dog? What's going on? Is this real? So...
Okay, let me get into the final WTF moment. We don't even have to comment on this. We could just go straight into Brit's takes afterwards. But basically, the EU is urging Netflix and other streaming platforms to stop showing video in HD to prevent the internet from completely breaking under the strain of the unprecedented usage due to the coronavirus pandemic. Everyone is in self-isolation, quarantine mode, and everyone is just using the internet way too much, WhatsApping their friends, video chatting, streaming shows endlessly, 10 hours a day, so much so that it's going to cause these platforms to start showing lower quality because they don't have enough bandwidth to support all of this. So my advice to everybody, watch some TV, watch us, but you have to stream to watch us. Make sure you don't stop watching
YouTube, at least it's not on Netflix.
Yeah.
We got you.
So you just watch cable television, you guys. Watch some sports. Watch those highlights.
What sport? Devin, why would you do that?
How mean, Devin! You just
Could you?
somebody actually.
I messed up. That was bad. I'm sorry, everyone.
Just watch sports that is not on right now.
Just watch us. Okay, we're gonna leave it at that. Watch us. Now let's get into Brit's takes.
All right, guys, it is time for Brit's takes. As I said earlier, I was going to talk about the coronavirus, and obviously, you guys found out I was going to talk about one of the things that Adam Silver had to say during his interview with Rachel Nichols on ESPN. Okay, so there was one part that I heard very differently than maybe a lot of you guys did. Now, I have always been a big proponent and a big fan of Adam Silver, okay? So, I'm saying this not against it. I'm still going to be a big fan of his, but there was one thing that he said in there that definitely rubbed me the wrong way, and I'm not just going to let it slide because we don't have anything else to talk about. So I have to focus on this one little moment. So during the interview, obviously he touched on the key options that they had. Devin spoke of them earlier. There were three main things. The third one was to select a certain group of players and put them in isolation and have them play in a quote-unquote charity game or some kind of tournament. These players are humans. They didn't do anything wrong. I don't know why we're going to jail them and put them in isolation. They're not slaves. They're not puppets. Not saying that he said they were either of those, but that's what I took from that moment. Why would you take players in a select amount of players, whatever, I'm sure it's going to be the best players, maybe the same guys we saw from the All-Star game, take them and say, you guys actually have to be put in isolation during this time because we just want to have a random charity game that you guys can play because, and he said, it is so the fans can be entertained. Like, what in the, 1500s where a king just brings a joker out is this? Like, that is the most ridiculous, that was just a moment that I had with him. I was like, I don't feel comfortable about this moment. I love basketball. I love all sports. Clearly, I miss them so much like everybody else does. But if it means taking these players away from their family and friends and putting them in isolation just so they can play a basketball game in a small tournament or a one-game thing anyway, I don't want it. I would rather not see it. I don't think it's fair to do that to players, especially in times like this when they need their families and want to be around their families. Do we not understand, jail and when people get put in solitary confinement, what that does to them? That is not okay to put them in an isolated thing for our entertainment just so we can watch one little game. And then another part of that was they were talking about testing all the players to then have for this little thing before they put them into isolation. Yeah. But then we go back again to, like the Warriors didn't want to do, take away tests from people that actually need them. To get this whole crew and test all these people just so you guys could have one basketball game is so irresponsible to me. And I get that was just one of the many options, but maybe that was one that you should have thought about a little bit more before you said it out loud like that. because that wasn't okay. I don't feel comfortable with this. Again, like I said, I love Adam Silver. I don't think he was just necessarily thinking of this as the only option. Obviously, he gave us several options. But this one, if they do that, I would be very uncomfortable seeing players that I love and watch have to be put in isolation just so we could watch a game. Like, this isn't the second part of Space Jam where if they lose the game, they get taken to this thing and Michael Jordan has to sign autographs for the rest of his life chained up. Like, you can't put these players in isolation. Like, that's not okay. Like, I'm not cool with this. I want sports back, but I don't want it in this situation. I know these are unprecedented times and we don't know what to do, but this cannot be the option moving forward. What do you guys think about it?
So my question is, and I saw someone in here say something similar, what if there are athletes who volunteer to do it and they're down to do it because they don't have a family and they're like, you know what, I'm itching to get back out there and play. It's for charity. Are you opposed to the idea if there are some who actually volunteer to do it?
No, but I also don't think those would be the players that we necessarily want to see.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, yes, we would be probably watch it because we're dying to watch basketball, but is it even going to be a quality game? At that point, you get to the quality of it. Like, what's the point of doing it if it's not going to be a quality game that people want to watch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it comes down to that, where guys would, make the choice themselves, I'm a little bit okay with it. And then that's what I was saying earlier on. Like, I like the idea of it. I just don't understand how that would make sense. And I didn't take it because what you're saying is 100% correct, Britt. But I didn't take it as it was going to happen. I just took it as him presenting the idea that came up. So I didn't think too much of it. But hearing you break it down, yeah, no, I would not want that at all because more cases to not there. I doubt it would come down to the players choosing. They would be like sending out like, hey, so LeBron, what you doing? Can you give us like 5 minutes of your time? But you're gonna have to do this in order to do that. And those kind of things like that. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. I would much rather wait until we can possibly get the season back before we do something like this that could not only do what take people away from their families and not even get a fully good game because it's for charity, so they're still not even going to play at the best of their abilities for this charity game, but also run the risk, whether you take tests away from whatever, you still run the risk that, like we've mentioned so many times, at somebody still having it in their system, even if they're testing negative with the coronavirus. Like, you still don't know if that can be passed regardless, because it can still come up from anybody. So it's too many things that it just doesn't make any sense to do that.
And just jumping off, I just like when you said the word like run the risk, I automatically thought in my head you were going to say of injury. Like, what if a player gets injured in a random charity game? Like, that is going to be the most silliest thing. Like, I don't want basketball back if it's going to be under those, like, that umbrella. Like, either we get basketball back, like, I'm down to do a thing where there's no fans. I understand that. Like, Adam Silver actually only said 9% of their total fan population is a fan population that goes to games. Most of their population is people watching it or streaming it on different services or whatever. So that is the bulk that they're looking to get their audience back with, and that's who they want to, like, make happy first. So obviously it is like a higher moment for them to just say, let's play with no fans in the stands, because they said, again, that's only 9% of people actually go to games to watch them anyway. People mostly watch it on television. So if we're full teams or coming full back and we're just watching it on TV, that's fine. But like this random charity thing, that's a bad idea. And again, I know it's just one of the three options. He wasn't saying that was going to happen or not going to happen or whatever. But this is my like opinion on it. Please don't let that be the option that you guys end up going with.
Yeah, and these circumstances are different from past charity games, because those would be for relief, like when we had the Katrina charity game, we had the one for the hurricane in Houston, like we had those kind of charity games, but those weren't health involved. So you can have situations where these star players will go out, appear for a few seconds, and you get to see them play and build up money for this is different. This is health wise, so you can't really run that risk like that. So
I want to jump in with some information I just found out that is slightly off topic. Woj just tweeted that the Denver Nuggets say a member of their organization has tested positive for the coronavirus. So I think that explains it. I mean, we're just continuously getting new reports of athletes who have tested positive. So I think that probably explains why there's been so many delays in getting the suspension lifted, why Adam Silver isn't really offering any sort of concrete ideas, plans, strategies, dates, nothing. So that's pretty crazy.
And again, like they said, about 40 to 50% of the league they predict will get or have the coronavirus, which is crazy.
Even Adam Silver saying he's not even surprised with the news that came with Brooklyn. But they're also saying too with the what Devin just said, that the player, because I know a lot of people were upset that we were finding out these guys are having coronavirus, but they don't have any symptoms or anything. So it's like, why are you wasting tests? It turns out this guy got tested because he was having symptoms, and so he got tested for it. So
something that's on topic with that, Ricardo just first of all gave us $5, so that was really nice.
Ricardo?
And he said, so what do you think about the topic of the New York mayor, what the New York mayor said about how the NBA players are getting tested faster than blue collar workers? And this is something we talked about yesterday. Lots of the athletes, lots of celebrities and influencers are getting tests before everybody else. So what is in play here? What's going on?
Money.
Yep.
I mean, is there more answers than that? I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Sad, but true.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ricardo, for that super chat. That was really nice of you. And, I think this actually wraps up our segment for today. We got into a lot of stuff. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, hit that thumbs up. We're going to be back again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you tune in, and we'll see you there. Bye, guys.
Bye.